All right, we're going to have a discussion on one of those Greeks that we don't talk about often, and that is gamma. Okay, Robert had a question. Can we review gamma as it is high in expiration week? Okay, first off, and I'll get a whiteboard going here, what is gamma? Okay, good. Nope, it's not the rate of theta decay, and it's not volatility. It is the delta of the delta, or the rate of change in delta. Okay, let's get this up on the board here. Okay, so does everybody understand what that means? Everybody understand what that means? Okay, because if you think about it, you know, an easy way to kind of think about this is delta is not stuck in the mud. Right? Delta changes all the time based on where the stock is. Also based on how much time to expiration there is. Yes, I am, Todd. Okay. Now, at expiration, every option has to be one of two deltas, right? What are the choices at expiration, delta-wise? Okay, right? It's either worthless and it's a zero delta, or the option turns into stock, in which case it's a 100 delta option. So the longer amount of time you have till expiration, the less fluctuation in the rate of change in the delta. Okay, because there's a long time, the longer further out expiration leaves a lot of time for that option to get to 0 or 100. Okay, however, when we get closer and closer to expiration, even the day of expiration, knowing that there's only one of two choices for the delta of that option, either 0 or 100, the delta of an option, if it was at the money, can move from a 50 delta to a 0 or 100 delta instantly. Okay, so that is why the gamma, or the change in the delta, the rate of change in the delta, accelerates the closer and closer you get to expiration. Okay, Robert, you asked the question, so give me a stock that you would like to look at. Robert? Okay, Tesla it is. Perfect. Okay, I have added here gamma to our list of things that we're looking at in the list of Greeks. Okay? Let's look at first an at the money option. Okay? That is really close to expiration. So the 227.5 call. Okay? Really close to being at the money. 50 delta, and we're going to round this off about a 4 gamma. Okay? Now, as you can see, because an option that is at the money has the furthest to go, delta-wise, more so than any other option on the board, to get to either 0 or 100, right? Right? 50 one way or 50 the other. It's got the furthest to go, meaning it can move the most from a delta standpoint. An at the money option, right? Nice, Rick. Okay, so let me put this on the whiteboard. An at the money option, which is 50 delta, has the most room to move to either 0 or 100 delta. If you look at the gamma of the at the money options here, you'll see it is the highest. The further and further in the money you go, the further and further out of the money you go, the less of a value gamma has, the less of a change the delta of that option is going to make. Okay, does everybody understand that concept, that at the money options have the highest gamma? Okay, now, the closer and closer and closer you get to expiration, the higher that gamma increases. Okay, and I'm going to show you here. Let's go to Tesla at the money call option, and let's put up our Greeks here. Okay, and just as we had just pointed out that the gamma was 3.7, and this shows it rounded to 4. Okay, that same 227.5 option, gamma here today, has a gamma of 4, meaning if the stock moves $1, okay, so an option with 50 delta and for gamma means that if the stock moves $1, the delta of that option will move by 4. So if the stock goes down $1, then the new delta will be 46. It shouldn't be 45, it should be 46. It's my typo. Okay, if the stock goes up $1, then the new delta will be 54. Okay, everybody get that so far? The gamma would be pretty close. It would move closer to 0. Okay, so let's go back to the screen here. And let's compare the gammas of what we had this week's option with only a couple days left to go, which we know is around 4 cents. If we look at next week's option at the money, 227.5 call, that gamma drops basically in half to less than 2 cents. Nice, Harvey. And the further and further we go out, let's go out to like September, and you can see that gamma keeps dropping, keeps dropping, keeps dropping. So that's what gamma is. And the easiest way to kind of back into thinking about gamma is every option has to be 0 or 100 delta at expiration. How quickly does it move there? That's what it comes down to. Lionel, we really don't. We really don't. And that's why I rarely talk about gamma. The reason I'm bringing it up right now is because someone asked me to talk about it. How it affects our trading decisions is negligible at best. Yeah, Alan, it's getting to the point where I'm ready to put a stop exit out there. It's moving real nicely. Robert, no. What you do is take the delta plus the gamma. Plus or minus the gamma, depending on the move of the stock. Now, gamma is always a positive number. Okay? Let me put that up here. Gamma is a positive number. If you are long an option, either a call or put, you are long gamma. If you are short an option, either a call or put, you are short gamma. Absolutely, Chris. However, that entails trading stock around your option position. We don't trade stock in here. But I will tell you, when I was a trader on the floor, I traded around my gamma every single day. I would scalp stock based on my gamma every single day. Okay, so let's take this a little bit further here. Okay, let's say I had a delta neutral position. But positive 1500 gamma. Okay, David, that's what I'm talking about right now.
Not feeling well?
No.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It sucks. Hope yours goes way faster.
Yeah, thanks.
But get the nausea stuff going. That's
Got it.
I mean, seriously, that fixed it for me.
Oh, I know.
Today.
That's what I gave Brett this morning because he was feeling nauseous from his concussion. So.
Angie said that, I'm doing my 10 o'clock hit. She said that she has some interns that
Then we're going to come up here for...
I just want to make sure it's okay that they're up here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll bring them back here.
No problem. Okay, so let's say I had this position on, which was not a very uncommon position. Okay, so my overall net deltas to my position, 0. But my overall net gamma to my position was 1500. Okay, what did that mean to my position? Well, what does that mean? No, it's not necessarily bullish. What would that mean? If I had 0 delta to start with, but gamma of 1500, what would happen if the stock went down $1? Okay, Robert, you got it. If price went up $1, my delta would now be plus 1500. If stock moved down $1, my delta would now be minus 1500. Okay, if I wanted to remain delta neutral, okay, not have exposure to the market, if I wanted to be delta neutral and the stock moved up $1, what could I do to adjust my position? Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I wouldn't go short. I could go short the stock. I could go short the stock. So what I could do right here is sell 1,500 shares. That would get me back to delta neutral. Okay, now the scalping part of the gamma now comes in. Okay, now what happens if the stock moves back down $1? Well, I would buy back the stock. I would buy back the 1,500 shares of stock. So in this scenario, the net stock price has remained unchanged. It moved, but it has remained unchanged, yet the net is that I was able to scalp 1,500 shares for $1, or make $1,500 trading the stock against my option position. That is what is known as gamma scalping. Well, two things, Chris. Two things. Number one, we don't trade stock in this room. The commissions will just completely knock us out of the park. And number two, we're all about trading options. Not that there's not opportunity to combine that with trading stock, but it is much cheaper if we are going to make an adjustment to the position. It is much cheaper to do it with options. Okay, we also don't have large enough positions to really warrant scalping stock, right? We're not gonna, if we have a 8 delta position and you have 5 of those on, so if a stock moves $1, you change 40 deltas one way or the other, you can't scalp 40 deltas worth of stock. Well, Robert, you're really not shorting naked. You could be short stock against a long option position, and that's margined together. It's not a naked short position. Not really. I mean, you could, David, if you just figured out the exact beta, but no, I would not do that. Some people do. If I'm going to scalp, I'm going to stay within the class that I'm trading. So let's say my position was Coca-Cola options. I am either going to hedge with Coca-Cola stock or I'm going to hedge with Coca-Cola options. Why bring in another entity that does not have a 100% direct correlation? Now, if you have a humongous algorithmic program that can model that for you, there could certainly be some potential arbitrage or efficiencies to take care of. But now you're talking about something that is way, way beyond the scope of what we do in this room. And probably what most of you will ever do. It's a good question, though. It's certainly a valid question. Okay, did that help out? Just kind of give you some basics on gamma? Robert, you're welcome. Because I want to throw out one more thing and not try and confuse everybody. I want to send out one more thing here. Okay? If you have a position that is long gamma, that means you own options, right? Because if we go back to the previous whiteboard, as I said on the bottom here, if you are long an option, call or put, you're long gamma. If you're short an option, call or put, you're short gamma. So if you own options, which make you long gamma, you also have what in your position? If you have a debit position on your long options, you have long what? Theta. Peter's got it. Theta, right? If I own options, that means I have bought premium, which means I now have long theta, okay? Which means the value of those options lose a little bit every day, right? Theta decay happens every single day. That is why if you are long gamma, okay, think of it, if you're long gamma, you want a stock to be very volatile. You want a stock to move around so you have the opportunity to scalp stock around your position to make up for the theta decay that's going to hurt your position. Actually, William, we don't have long gamma in Planet. Why do we not have long gamma in Planet? Okay, we have a calendar. Which option are we short? And which option has more gamma? The one expiring in 2 days or the one expiring a month from now? Exactly, Chris. And we are short the option with higher gamma. So we have a negative gamma position. Does that make sense? Awesome. Well, they're both, Mike. If you think of it, they're both. Because at expiration, an option ceases to exist. So the gamma is definitely 0, and the delta either has to be 0 or 100. All right? Does that help you out, Mike? Awesome. All right, let me wrap this up. Let me get both of the whiteboards up in here. Okay, Gamma Whiteboard page 1. And we'll get Gamma Whiteboard page 2 up here. And then I'll get the audio video put up in the room here, and I'll be right back.